Hi there, welcome to another episode of the Grand Meadows Fireside video series. Today I wanted to touch on something that I see as a number one, obviously a huge problem with horses these days, but also the idea that there are supplements to fix this problem. I'm referring to primarily equine metabolic syndrome, and I'm referring to Cushings, or I've forgotten the long name for it, pituitary gland something. Anyways, these are very common. I hear about this, obviously, particularly Cushings, pre-Cushings. Seems like, every week I get calls from people talking about this problem and is it okay to feed this, or what should I be feeding, etc., etc. And one of the things that kind of annoys me a bit is that there are supplements on the market that are being sold as products for either of these diseases. And with all due respect to those companies, there really isn't anything that will fix Cushing's or equine metabolic syndrome by the use of a dietary supplement. Equine metabolic syndrome, on the one hand, is normally a disease that affects primarily overweight horses. Obviously, some breeds have a predisposition, but I mean the biggest initial cause of it is going to be horses that are overweight, and there isn't really a particular treatment other than diet and trying to reduce non-structural carbohydrates in the diet. Basically my advice to people who have a horse with EMS is no grain, none. I don't even care about their low starch grain that they may be talking about. No grain. You can use fat if you want to, for energy and for some calories. And I would only recommend like a Timothy or an orchard grass. Not a big fan of legume hays in those circumstances. So like alfalfa, for example, I wouldn't suggest that. Soaking the hay or using a hay steamer will break down those non-structural or NSC carbohydrates a little bit more. And it's all about, getting those down as low as we can. Really, I mean, it's a similar treatment with a Cushing's horse. Obviously, Cushing's is a much more sort of visible, oh, yes, my horse has got Cushing's. He's got all these weird fat deposits everywhere, although you do get that a little bit with EMS as well. But, the hair that doesn't shed out, so it's pretty easy to spot a Cushing's horse. The question is, in both cases, actually, of the metabolic syndrome or the Cushing's, is insulin resistance also a part of that problem? Because occasionally you can have horses that don't necessarily have insulin resistance tied in with either of those, EMS or Cushing's. But I just I know people are so keen to look for the solution in a bucket, but honestly, you're wasting your money. I'm not saying that a horse with either of those diseases doesn't necessarily need a vitamin mineral type supplement because you're cutting way down on what was their original sources of that supplement, which was of those vitamins and minerals and things, which was pasture, which was perhaps some kind of a grain product that was a vitamin and mineral enhanced grain product. But bottom line, the answer isn't in a supplement. One of the things we're doing at Grand Meadows, which I am actually pretty excited about, we're doing trials right now, is we are looking at going completely sugar-free and are planning to use an stevia as our sweetening agent in all of our supplements, and we're just obviously doing some palatability trials right now. But that's something, you know, concrete that I know is going to be a benefit. It's certainly not going to offset, though, you know, if you're continuing to feed, you know, a carbohydrate-rich grain product, or, you know, if the horse is out there particularly with spring grass and things like that, you know, that's where the real problems and the symptoms can be accelerated. So I hope, whilst I haven't got into a tremendous amount of detail on this specifically, it's just something that kind of rubs me the wrong way, that there's so many products that are being represented as for Cushing's or for equine metabolic syndrome, and frankly, you know, Presend is the drug that's approved for Cushing's. There really isn't a drug for EMS. There's a couple of different things they'll try to do. They've tried using metformin, which is a you know, diabetes product in the human marketplace, but doesn't have a particularly good bioavailability. But I don't really, you know, I feel that's very much vet's territory versus, you know, our territory. The thing that I really wanted to get across is, you know, don't waste your money on buying products that represent themselves as being a solution to either of those conditions. Just focus on the diet. That's the most important thing, and the best thing that you can do for a horse in either of those conditions is, again, to, you know, really look very closely at what you're feeding the horse. Try to replace grain with fat as far as the calories are concerned. You know, little or no pasture. And those are going to be the best things that you can do for your horse, you know, with either of those symptoms. So I hope that helps a little bit if you are unfortunate enough to be experiencing these problems with one of your horses. And we will continue. Have another video we're planning on doing in a couple of weeks. So hope to see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye.